The parliamentary group acknowledged that the Ministry of Justice's finance had not been ring-fenced from austerity, but warned that access to justice must prevail over cost recovery. The High Court of Kerala has ruled that an accused who had been granted pre-arrest bail cannot be remanded to judicial custody. The court further held that the bail thus obtained shall remain in force unless the same is cancelled by the court which granted it or by a higher court. The Supreme Court has dismissed a plea of a 92-year-old murder convict seeking exemption from surrendering before police. The Supreme Court dismissed the special leave petition filed by the convict against the judgment by Lucknow bench of Allahabad High Court, which had upheld his conviction by the trial court. The incident is related to an honour killing which happened in the year 1980 in the Unnao district in Uttar Pradesh. The trial court had convicted 3 persons in the murder. All of them were sentenced by the trial court for life imprisonment. The Conservator of Forest and Wildlife has urged the Bombay High Court to decide on the fate of around 500 exotic birds and animals rescued by the police. Earlier, Conservator M.M. Kulkarni was asked by the court to give a report on 2 NGOs that have the required facilities to rehabilitate birds and animals. In his affidavit filed before the High Court, Kulkarni stated that a team of experts visited 2 NGOs, Animal Rescue and Rehabilitation Centre in Katraj and My Vets Charitable Trust and Research Centre in Panvel, and checked their facilities, which were found to be good enough to house the rescued birds and animals. The Supreme Court did not put on hold the centre's order on culling of nilgai and wild boars in Bihar and Uttarakhand and monkeys in Himachal Pradesh. It also did not issue any interim order on the matter, which will now be taken up on July 15th. The court, however, permitted the activists who had filed a PIL on the issue to make representations to the central government and state governments. The US Supreme Court is likely to take a call today on the legality of the semi-automatic rifles used in the recent mass shooting at Orlando nightclub in Connecticut. It would decide a challenge to a Connecticut prohibition of semi-automatic rifles. Gun rights groups and individual firearm owners have been advocating that the Connecticut prohibition of semi-automatic rifles violates the US Constitution's Second Amendment guarantee of the right to bear arms. The Obama administration's proposal to revive its 2014 plan to protect up to 4 million people from deportation could be taken up by the Supreme Court in the coming days. The administration has faced criticism from the states on the proposal. The states have sued the administration and argued that the plan is illegal and contravenes the current federal immigration law. On the contrary, the administration has held that the states have no legal basis to litigate, as immigration law falls under the ambit of the federal government. By the end of June 2006, the US Supreme Court will also give rulings in major high-profile cases such as racial preferences in university admissions, unilateral immigration plan, and a restrictive Texas abortion law. A legal document submitted by the Asia Pacific Institute of International Law, or APIIL, at the Permanent Court of Arbitration at The Hague may lead to the deferment of an international tribunal's ruling on territorial claims in the South China Sea. The 41-page legal document maintains that the case is beyond the jurisdiction of the Permanent Court of Arbitration, or PCA, in The Hague. Earlier on June 6, 2016, the APIIL had filed an amicus curiae brief on the arbitration led by the Philippines to the tribunal. Several lawyers and legal luminaries from China's Hong Kong, Britain and Australia endorsed the brief. A recent judgment of the Himachal Pradesh High Court held that lack of injury marks on the body of a rape survivor does not disprove that rape took place. The High Court said that absence of injury on the body of the accused, for that matter, prosecutrix would not render her version in any manner to be false or doubtful. Exact location of the angle in which she was subjected to intercourse cannot be left to the imagination of the doctor, in whose view there ought to have been some marks on the buttocks of the prosecutrix. After all, there were injury marks of the prosecutrix, which she has stated was a young village girl, a student of class 10th, who had gone out to the fields at night to relieve herself when she was attacked by the accused and raped. Her aunt, who came out at that time, witnessed the incident and called other women to the spot. Upon arrival of the women, the accused fled. The rape survivor's testimony, along with the testimony of the witnesses plus the other evidence, were anyway sufficient to convict the accused. The accused put up an argument that the complaint was filed with the police after 1 full day. The court, however, found that the delay occurred because the head of the family was away at that time. It observed that in rural areas, generally people are reluctant to report the matter till the arrival of the head of the family. Thus, there is no delay. Passive Infra Projects Private Limited. But Passive Infra Projects Private Limited, due to disagreement, filed claim petition under Section 18 of the MSMED Act 2006 against Refex Energy Limited.